Welcome to Career Spotlight Academy, your daily deep dive into the world of STEM careers and entrepreneurship, where we explore inspiring journeys and the skills needed to thrive. Let's dive in and explore today's Spotlight career.
Imagine the guy who used to fix your VCR could be the same guy now shaping the future of artificial intelligence.
Right.
It sounds like some cheesy sci-fi plot.
Yeah.
But that's basically the path of our deep dive today.
It really is.
We're looking at this tech visionary, but when you start digging into his story, he started about as far from Silicon Valley as you can get.
Yeah.
St. Louis, Missouri.
Midwest.
Not exactly a hub for, microchips back in the day.
And what's fascinating, too, is it's not even like the classic, tech prodigy story, right? Like, we're not talking about a kid who was coding in their basement while their parents worked at Google. Like his family background was all about law and medicine.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he got his first computer at 8, which, okay, pretty standard, I feel like, for that generation.
Sure.
But this wasn't a household that was obsessed with the latest gadgets or anything like that.
Right.
It was almost like his drive to figure out how things worked came from this really innate place. Like taking apart the VCR wasn't just mischief, it was like this urge to understand, like, the mechanics behind the magic.
And that's a key point, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't enough to just use technology. He had to dissect it. He had to figure out the why and the how. And that's the kind of curiosity that fuels real innovation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But his story takes a turn that most of these, these tech bios don't really prepare you for.
Right.
So picture this. Prestigious high school, very conservative environment, and then this challenge of coming out as gay.
Yeah.
And these experiences, they became really integral to his worldview, I think shaping both his empathy and his perspective.
It's almost like those teenage years, right? Like figuring out who you are when the quote-unquote norm doesn't quite fit. It's like what hardwired his empathy even before we're talking about tech.
Absolutely.
So he gets into Stanford, which big deal,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
But 2 years in, he does. Like the unthinkable for someone in his position, he drops out.
Now, keep in mind, this is the late 90s.
Yeah.
Dropping out of Stanford to chase some, tech dream wasn't the badge of honor that it's sometimes seen as today. This was a huge EE risk. But it just shows the level of commitment he had to his own vision, even if it bucked, every convention.
So what was this $1 million idea that made him ditch the dorm?
All right, so get this. A location-based app.
Okay.
Except this is before smartphones were even a thing.
Oh, wow.
Right. Imagine trying to pitch that to investors.
Yeah, everyone's going to share their location constantly. It's going to be huge.
Exactly. It was like explaining Uber or Yelp back then.
Right.
People would have thought he was crazy. It was a concept way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And while it ultimately failed, the experience proved to be absolutely crucial.
Yeah. Talk about a crash course in, startup life, right?
Oh, yeah.
Timing is everything. It's huge. Knowing your market.
Yeah.
The importance of execution over just a cool idea. Those are lessons you can't learn in a classroom.
And this is where his journey gets really interesting. So instead of letting this failure derail him, he leverages it.
Huh.
He takes on this new role, becoming a mentor to up-and-coming entrepreneurs at a prestigious startup incubator.
So you might be wondering, what exactly did he do at this incubator?
Yeah.
Imagine a greenhouse, but for startups.
Okay.
So instead of plants, you've got these eager entrepreneurs with these raw ideas, and the incubator provides the resources, the guidance, the connections to investors, giving them the best shot at success.
And under his guidance, this incubator, it produced some of the biggest names in tech, like companies you and we use every single day.
Yeah, I bet.
So it's like he had this almost like a sixth sense, right? For spotting potential.
Yeah.
And not just in the ideas themselves, but in the people behind them.
Yeah. And it's funny because we're talking about him going from building these apps himself to basically building up this whole next generation of tech innovators. But then, you think back to that curiosity that we were talking about earlier, right? That need to not just use technology, but to understand it on this deeper level. That's what takes him down a whole other path.
Yeah, it's really interesting. While Silicon Valley was still kind of chasing the next big app, he was already grappling with this much bigger question, which is the future of humanity in the age of AI, right?
Right.
And you got to remember, this is the mid-2010s. AI was still like this sci-fi concept for most people, but he was already sort of like sounding the alarm bells, or maybe more accurately, like the opportunity bells.
Yeah, right.
Like, what can we do? How can we prepare?
Yeah, and it's so interesting too, because like it's one thing to think about that stuff in the abstract, but like he's in it, right?
He's in the trenches.
Yeah, like he's elbow to elbow with these people who are like, you know, on the cutting edge of developing this technology, but there's this other side of it that he's thinking about at the same time, which is like the moral compass.
Yeah.
And what's so wild is there's this story, I don't know if this is true or not, but I read this somewhere, that he carries around a mezuzah, like, you know, the
Sure.
symbol of faith that's passed down, I think, from his grandfather. And it's like this really interesting juxtaposition, because it's like you've got this reminder of like tradition and values, but then he's like diving headfirst into the future.
Yeah, I mean, it really highlights the impact of his upbringing. You know, despite being at the forefront of technological advancement, his Midwestern practicality and his strong sense of ethics, they really remained paramount. You know, he saw the immense potential of AI, not just for, you know, revolutionizing industries, but also, like you said, for its implications for humanity itself.
Totally. And that's where I think things get really interesting with him, right? Because it's not just that he's building AI, it's that he's like almost wrestling with its very soul. You know what I mean? Like think about it. You've got this technology that has the potential to do amazing things.
Of course.
Like cure diseases, potentially solve climate change, but it could also be misused in some really terrifying ways.
Absolutely.
And he wasn't afraid to ask those tough questions.
Well, and that's what's so refreshing.
Yeah.
Is that he doesn't shy away from those difficult conversations. He leans in.
Totally.
Hold on, we're almost there. About to uncover the incredible individual behind this groundbreaking success story. But before we reveal their name, let's take a moment to hear from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Career Spotlight Academy. Discover inspiring career paths, gain mentorship, and explore the tools you need to succeed. Visit us at www.careerspotlight.academy for more details and to start your journey today. And now, let's dive back in to uncover who's behind this remarkable journey.
Okay.
We're back.
We're back. So in 2015, he takes the helm of this major AI initiative, and his mission was very clear: to build AI that's not just powerful, but also ethically responsible.
Okay, now that's huge.
Huge.
Because like I feel like that wasn't even like a thing that people were really talking about back then.
It was a radical concept at the time.
Yeah, and I bet it was probably met with a lot of skepticism.
Absolutely.
Like, you want to, build AI with, like, conscience? Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I imagine there were some, like, interesting board meetings with investors trying to, like, get them on board with this.
Oh, I'm sure.
But you know, he understood something, I think, really crucial, which is that AI wasn't just like a tech issue.
It's a human issue.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day, it's a human issue.
It's about like how we interact with this technology, how it impacts our lives. It's not just about lines of code.
And he recognized that this technology had the potential to like completely reshape society in really profound ways.
Oh, absolutely.
And that we need to be having these conversations, and not just, you know, amongst ourselves.
Right.
Like, he actively sought out ethicists, philosophers, policymakers, like this diverse range of voices to ensure that AI development was approached, you know, thoughtfully and responsibly.
So he wasn't just building algorithms, he was building like safeguards.
You got it.
It's like realizing that you've got this like nuclear reactor in your backyard.
Right.
Like, it's got incredible potential, but like you better have some serious safety protocols in place.
And it's in these moments that I think his Midwestern roots really like shine through, you know?
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't shy away from those difficult conversations.
Yeah.
He dives right into these like thorny issues, right? Things like job displacement, algorithmic bias, even the existential threat of AI. Yeah. Like, he's not afraid to go there.
He's not just talking about lines of code. He's talking about like the potential impact of this technology on like our livelihoods, our values, like our very future.
Exactly. And he backs up these concerns with action too.
Okay.
So he becomes a very vocal advocate for things like universal basic income, right? Recognizing that AI could potentially automate millions of jobs.
Right.
And we need to be prepared for that kind of like societal shift.
Yeah, he's not just like building the future. He's thinking about how are we all gonna like live in it, you know?
Exactly.
And what, to me at least, what's so refreshing about his approach to all of this is that he's not afraid to say, I don't know.
Right.
You know, like he's not coming at this from a place of I have all the answers.
Right. And he never claims to, which is huge. You know, I think he even said once that, you know, he wished there was somebody more charismatic to lead the AI revolution, which I think it's just this like self-awareness and humility that you don't often see in the tech world.
It's so refreshing.
Yeah.
Because it's like this is an incredibly accomplished guy, you know, like he's done amazing things, but he's not afraid to admit that he doesn't have it all figured out.
And I think it also kind of reminds us that even the people who are building the future are still like human.
Totally.
Like they're figuring things out as they go.
We always put these tech leaders on this like pedestal.
Right.
But they're just people.
They're just people.
They've got strengths, they've got weaknesses, they've got, you know, experiences that have shaped who they are.
Yeah, their own unique perspectives.
Totally. Okay, so after this incredible journey that we've been on, from like VCR repair to like the ethics of AI, it's time for the big reveal.
Okay.
Who is this tech visionary who is grappling with like the future of intelligence?
Our Midwestern tech titan, the man who went from taking apart electronics in St. Louis to leading the charge in AI, is none other than Sam Altman.
Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, DALL-E, and just like some of the most sophisticated AI systems in the world.
It really is remarkable.
Talk about a wild ride.
Yeah.
From taking apart that VCR to now, like, you know, being at the forefront of this incredible technological revolution. And I think what's so important about his story and what I hope people take away from this is that he really is like, you know, he's not just building this technology, he's thinking about how to use it to benefit humanity.
Right.
He's aware of the potential pitfalls.
Of course.
But he's not losing sight of the potential for good.
Right, exactly.
And so as you interact with AI in your everyday life, and trust me, you will just remember Sam Altman's story.
Absolutely.
He reminds us that the future of AI isn't written in stone. It's being shaped right now by the choices that we make, by the questions that we ask, by the values that we prioritize.
And ultimately, the future is unwritten.
Yeah.
What role will you play in shaping it?
Thank you for joining us at Career Spotlight Academy, where we explore the future of STEM careers and entrepreneurship. Visit us online at www.careerspotlight.academy for more insights and resources.